How is everyone doing today? I hope your day is off to a great start. And I'm curious, I would love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Where are you at across the country? Would love to know, and drop it in the chat. I opened the chat up so that we can all chat amongst ourselves. I will periodically check the chat throughout today's session. And so I'll definitely be monitoring that. If you want to leave something in there, absolutely go ahead. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Recognize you from Gilbert, Arizona. Rob, hello. Tuning in from New Mexico, I would imagine. Glad to have you on today. Yeah, so, a lot going on in real estate. The real estate market has just been so interesting. And I've got some interesting data to share with you, some interesting consumer trend insights to share with you. I want to show you one of what I believe is the best ways to really nurture and engage your leads, your prospects, your clients, your database. And so I'm going to get into that as well. Let me share my screen and we will get started here. All right. So if you can see my screen, wonderful. If not, just let me know, but I think we got it. Okay, cool. Yes, we got it. You can see it. So the housing market has just been really super interesting. And according to Zillow's heat index, they're saying that we are in a neutral market across the US. And what we know is some markets underperform, some outperform. And all real estate, we say this all the time, all real estate is hyper local. And so your market, in fact, even your mini market, your market within your market, could be doing worse or better. And we know that. So, definitely want to acknowledge that. That being said, Zillow did report that there are the top 10 buyers markets and the top 10 sellers markets. And so I thought it was kind of interesting, kind of wanted to share that with you, see where you fall in there. Looks like one of the top 10 buyers markets is in Cape Coral, Florida. Lots of Florida on that list. Look at that. Miami, we've got Palm Bay, Jacksonville. So a lot of Florida popping up on the buyers markets. And oh my goodness, we know that Florida is bracing for another hurricane. It was just upgraded to a category 5. If you are in the Florida area, if you're being impacted by these hurricanes, mad empathy to you. We do work with buyers that are actively buying in those markets. And we're just all saying prayers, sending out the good vibes that everyone is okay. Oh my goodness, just such a hard time. But yeah, and then you look at the strong seller markets. We've got Rochester, New York is number 1. And the 156 is just the Zillow index that they give to that market. But there are some other top seller markets as well, a lot in New York, San Jose. Interesting how San Jose is back up on the strong seller market. 24 months ago, they were saying San Jose was just going to absolutely tank. So are we in for a housing boom or a housing bust? I'm going to share my opinion here in just a moment. We also know that out of every 1,000 homes, only 25 have changed hands this year, which is a 2.5% turnover rate, which is at a historic low. We have to go decades back in order to see this low level of turnover. And we know that that is definitely impacting things. Again, we have markets that are outperforming and underperforming the turnover. So if you look at the markets that have had the highest turnover, Phoenix, which is the market I'm in, is definitely leading the pack with the most turnover, which it's still very low, only 37 out of 1,000 homes. And then you look at the markets with the lowest turnover. We've got Los Angeles coming in at number 1 with only 15 homes per 1,000 changing hands. And so definitely very, very slow, low activity. We've been talking about this though for months, even years. Many sellers are locked into very low interest rates. The motivation to move may not be there because they're enjoying these favorable interest rates. Why change from a 3 to a now what, 6.5? We know rates did come back up. So Fed cut the federal fund rate by 50 basis points on September 18th. And we enjoyed, relatively, like maybe we were in 6s. People may have been getting high 5s in interest rates at that point. But what we've seen with a really strong jobs report coming out last week, interest rates are now climbing back up. And it's really interesting, right? And so, what's going to happen with rates? Is there a magic number that's going to spur more activity in the housing market? And if there is that number, what is it? Is it a five handle? Is it low fives? Is it mid fives? What is it going to take to get people to start to move again? I say low home sales are giving 90s vibes because you got to go back to the 90s to see this low of turnover. And it's worth noting that in that time frame in the 90s, there were less homes. And so the percentage of homes that were turning was greater than it is now. So we definitely have a very low home sales right now. The economic impact of a home sale is tremendous. This is a national number. If you want to see your state's local number, NAR does publish this data state by state, but I found this to be really interesting because the total economic impact of every single home sale is tremendous. NAR estimates that the average is $124,000. And of course, this is all the things in relation to selling a home and all of the moving expenses, the expenditures, all of that takes into account that total economic impact. And we are missing out on that right now. So definitely interesting times indeed. We've also revisited this time again because it's important and worth noting that typically we see a slowdown in sales leading up to an election. And then typically after an election cycle, sales go up. And so if you look at the data in 9 of the past 11 US presidential elections, home sales went up after the election. And so we're what, 30 days? We're 30 days away from the election. And after that, we find ourselves in November and December, which tend to be a little bit slower months. So are we in a boom or a bust? I believe that there is still a ton of pent up seller demand. Surveys that are taken tend to reveal this as well. The latest quarterly survey of homeowner intentions and prefaces, it showed that nearly 1 in 5 sellers plan to sell, or homeowners plan to sell in the next 3 years. So there could be this tremendous opportunity that is on the horizon. I believe that we will see more of a boom. I do not believe our housing market is in for a bust. I think that there are a lot of folks that want to move that aren't moving because it may just not make sense right now. A lot of uncertainty. What happens in times of uncertainty is people just tend to stay put. They tend to stay where they're at and wait it out. And so we could see after the election, as history has shown and will likely repeat itself, that sales will increase. Now, I want to just take a moment and just say to you listening right now, like, mad empathy, because I know it is more challenging than ever to sell real estate right now. I know that, especially all of the NAR changes. I mean, we are reading forums on Reddit where buyers are going on and they're bemoaning that signing these buyer representation agreements, even if it's just property specific, even if it's just for one day, buyers don't want to sign these. I know that you're having to figure this all out. You're having to be fluid. You're having to implement these new policies. And then in the midst of all of this, we're in one of the lowest home sale environments that likely most of us have seen in our professional real estate careers. So for me, for sure, I started selling real estate back in 2003, and I have not experienced a low like this year. NAR is projecting that we're going to have about 3.86 million home sales by the end of the year. We'll see where we land on that, but no doubt it is very low, and no doubt, unless you were selling in the 90s, you've not experienced this low of a sales environment, coupled with the other things that are going on, like the NAR changes. Let's talk about consumer behavior and how that's changing and how that's shifting sentiment. And so all of these factors are kind of giving the perfect storm for us to weather. And if you are out there and you are hustling and you are trying to, really serve and support sellers and buyers right now, I have a ton of empathy and a ton of respect for you because it is more challenging than ever right now. And so I just want to say, keep going. I'm going to share with you some things that I believe are going to help you really amplify and be more effective in your business as well. So quickly, take a look at some of the consumer trends that just came out. So Zillow released their housing report, and they surveyed sellers that have sold a home, and they came up with all sorts of insights and findings. And so I kind of distilled down some of the ones that I believe are most important for us to know. And no doubt, life events are what has triggered home sales this year. And towards the beginning of the year, we came out with our Who's Going to Be Selling in 2024 guide. And we really honed in on the fact that we knew it was going to be a low sales year. We kind of had predicted that the people that would be selling were the people that had to sell. And so, the data is just now coming in, and it's kind of confirming what we believed would happen. And so it looks like the influence to sell was likely triggered by some sort of event, a new job, working remote. You can see here change in household or family size. And so these are things that people are doing because they have to. They need to downsize, they need to upsize, that sort of thing. uh, Job transfers. And so, as you're thinking through your marketing and your messaging, really be cognizant of this and weave this into your messaging right now. Like, it may not be a great time for you to sell a home right now, but if you're dealing with a life change, if you're dealing with a change in your family's dynamics, then it may be unavoidable. And if that's the case, those are the individuals that are going to really need your help and need your guidance. And I want to say that we have to become obsessed with delivering value to our audience. And, I really believe that part of the reason, you're here, you're on this call is because you understand the importance of also delivering offers and options. And the cash offer option is part of that value that you deliver to your clientele. And so if we become obsessed with delivering value to our people, our database, our clients, our former clients, our leads, our prospects, if we get obsessed with making sure that we're delivering value to them before, this is the key, before they have a real estate need, then you will be the one who they ultimately contact. Let's take another look at, let's take a look at the location, size, layout. Those are the top triggers for people that sell and buy. So location was number one. People that sold, they wanted to live somewhere different. And so again, like, think through how you can translate this information into content, because you really ought to be creating content to inspire and educate and deliver value to your people. So if you live in an area, for instance, you live next to a biking path, and you take this bike path every day, and it's just such a wonderful thing for you. And share that with people, share about how that location and that specific bike path leads to a higher quality of life, because you get to enjoy nature and have exercise and all of that, and it's just right there, right by your house. So location was the biggest driver of moving. And I found that to be really interesting. But people also said their house was too small. They wanted a different floor plan or layout. They wanted different features. And so when they're moving, these things still do matter. Bubble these up in your messaging, because this is what is causing people to move. And so if you're speaking to them, they're going to resonate with that. And it may even be on an unconscious level, but there's no doubt that the marketing that speaks to what we're thinking or feeling, and sometimes we're feeling it and we haven't even internalized or verbalized it yet, but then you hear something and you're like, that person gets me. It feels like they're speaking to my soul. And that is because you are talking about something that is very near and dear to their heart. Okay, so this I found to be really interesting. So the typical seller time frame, it's kind of expanded a little bit. So if you look at their timeline, it looks like more people had a medium urgency than previously. I mean, just by a 2%, but still. So they're not feeling quite as rushed. They're feeling like they can wait a little bit longer when they're selling their home. 35% said that they were relaxed, able to take their time. And so we know that maybe they're not feeling as much urgency. Although I will still say that it seems like once that house goes live and once marketing commences and once showings start, it does seem like sellers have accelerated that time frame of how how long they would like that house to be on the market and that life disruption, and they're trying to collapse those time frames as quickly as possible. Here's something else I thought was really interesting, that sellers typically have a 3 to 4 month consideration phase. And so when they really start getting serious about selling their home, they're looking to make a move and do that within 3 to 4 months. And this is, something that if you are really staying in contact with your database and with your people, you got to be checking in with them, because here the data is showing is that they're thinking about it for 3 to 4 months. So if that house goes up for sale and they didn't list with you, well, that means that for 3 to 4 months before that, they were really in that consideration phase and you didn't catch their attention, or you didn't give them the right information, or you didn't put out the right message that really resonated with them. So you've got time. They're really taking a few months before they do something. And if you're giving them those cash offers as well, we know that often that's the start of the journey for sellers, as they request the cash offer because they're curious. They know that they think they may be selling, and so they want to see what those numbers are. And we also know, I mean, we're now seeing the CEO of Open Door openly sharing on shareholder calls that 25% of all sellers in their buy box before they list on the MLS get a cash offer from Open Door. We've also received data that suggests that 50% of sellers get some sort of cash offer from a cash offer company or from an investor or whatever the case may be. And so we know that that is often the very starting point of that consideration phase. And as we can see from the data, if they request that cash offer, you got to stay on them, because it is often not the first time that they get it, but it's the refresh that maybe they get 3 or 4 months later. And then that tracks right with what Zillow is reporting, that typically 3 to 4 months from there, they're listing, they're selling. All right. So check this out. We have often shared that there are several questions that sellers are asking themselves right now in today's market. And one of the questions that they're asking themselves is, should I rent my house? Especially if they're in a low interest rate. Low interest rates are an asset to many people. And if they can figure out how to keep that low interest rate and maybe rent out that home, they understand that this could be a potential asset for them. And so almost 2/3 of sellers considered renting their home instead of selling their home. And, if you look at how this is trending, it's trending up. Sellers are often considering this, and even more seriously considering this option. Again, I think it's just a product of the low interest rate environment. And so they're wanting to know what this option would look like. One of the things I love about our AI powered home report is we give them this data front and center. And so we allow them to look at it and make those decisions. And then they can even use the AI to ask questions about what it would look like to rent their home long term, short term. And I'll show you that in just a moment. We'll go through some of that journey with you so you can see it. But it is a top question that sellers are considering when it comes to selling their home. If you look at Google Trends and you type in sell my home and you look at the related questions that people ask in relation to sell my home, renting their home is usually one of the things that they're asking. And in addition with, should I sell now or should I wait? Right? Everybody wants to time the market perfectly, which is such an interesting thing. And, I don't really know that you can truly time the market, but it is a question that people ask. And so we should be aware of it. We should be talking about it, right? We should be making content about how one of the services that we provide our clients is that we give them the tools to really make these educated decisions and to understand that data, so that if they have a question of, hey, should I sell? Should I rent? We're helping them in that process. Sellers overwhelmingly stick with agents when it comes to selling their home. And as you can see, we did have 89% of all sellers used an agent to sell their home. And it's down a percentage point from 2023. But if you look at 2019, only 83% of sellers in 2019 used an agent to sell their home. So it is up. And I think it's so fascinating because that's 5 years. That's quite a long time. A lot has happened since 2019. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, we went through the pandemic. It was just absolutely crazy. And we've also had just this influx of new technology, changing consumer behavior, all of these things that make our lives easier, make us really able to do more on this thing. And yet, despite all of that, more people are choosing representation. More sellers are using an agent to sell their home. I think that this just really speaks to some of the data that we provide often here at Zoodealio, is that 72% of sellers, when they get that cash offer, they would rather have an agent representing them on that. They don't want to go it alone. They really don't. They understand the importance of having you and your expert guidance. They understand the importance of having you give them that true market analysis of their home so that they can compare it to those cash offers. And I think that this just speaks to the fact that sellers need and want us. And maybe the more that goes on, the more technology comes in, the more they rely on the guidance and the expertise of an agent to really help them make those decisions. I say that often as agents, we help people make up their mind. We're like professional mind making up helpers. Like, we help people make good decisions by giving them more context, and often illuminating areas of concern or opportunity that they wouldn't have seen on their own. And this just speaks to it. So I found this to be really encouraging. And here's something really cool. If you're selling your home, and if you want to make more money when you sell your home, Clever released this data that said that sellers who use an agent to sell their home make way more money, $79,000 more, than sellers who don't use an agent. And so I found that to be just just very insightful. So if you're selling your home, hire a realtor. They're going to do a good job. They know what to do. They know how to position it. And they know how to maximize that for you. Here's something that's also pretty interesting from that Zillow report. A lot of sellers aren't interviewing multiple agents. The median seller hired the first agent they contacted. And so they're not out there, really doing a whole lot of due diligence. Yeah, there are some that interview two, and there are little fewer that interview three, but overwhelmingly sellers hire the first agent that they contact. And so this just speaks to the power of being top of mind and tip of tongue, because if you can achieve that, if you can stay in front of people, if they think of you and then they think real estate, you are winning the game. I used to always say when I sold real estate that I wanted people to think real estate Kayla, real estate Kayla, real estate Kayla, real estate Kayla. And that should be our goal, is to be synonymous with real estate. And so when they have that need, you are top of mind and tip of tongue. And so that they do reach out to you versus one of your peers that likely did a better job of staying in front of them. So we have a very simple success framework here. We all know that conversations lead to closings. The more conversations you have, the more closings you are going to have in your business. It's not rocket science. In fact, I think that is one of the things that a lot of us struggle with in real estate, is we want there to be some secret, some, magic pill that's just going to open up Pandora's box, and then all of the business is going to flood in. And then the reality is it is often the simplest things that move the needle for us. And one of the things that does that is just having more conversations with people. And I think that in today's day and age, conversations can look like a lot of different things. Conversations can look like text messages. Conversations can look like phone calls. Conversations can look like private messages on Facebook. Conversations can look like direct messages on Instagrams. So there's a variety of ways you can go about having these conversations with your people. But what we know is that the more conversations you have, and then the more meaningful these conversations become, the more closings you are ultimately going to have. And so what we believe here at Zoodealio is these cash offers spur really meaningful conversations. And if you can be DMing or private messaging about all sorts of things. Doesn't even have to be real estate related. But if you are leading with the cash offer hook and you're giving people that cash offer on a consistent basis, you will have more meaningful conversations, which will lead to real estate closings for you and your business. So, quickly, I want to show you the new AI powered home report. We've been working on this for a very long time. I have to just give a shout out to the team. It's been a tremendous feat. Um, you know, I often say that when you work on something for so long, sometimes when it's finally released and you finally have it, it's like almost anticlimactic because it's been so long. But we're pumped about our home report and for a variety of reasons. So, we talk about how sellers are more likely to hire the first agent that they contact. Well, how do you remain relevant in today's times with homeowners, with people that own homes? And I think that by providing them detailed, relevant, timely information about their home, giving them tools where they can, check their rental value, where they can ask questions, where they can engage with the report, I think those are the things that are going to keep you top of mind and tip of tongue. And so as we look through this home report, I just want to kind of highlight a few features for you to take a look at. So it starts with their home estimate on the top. Now, one thing I want to point out is there are about 10 million US homeowners that own more than one property. And so if you own more than one property, you can use this same report to track multiple properties. It's a really cool key feature. What they can do is they can manage their homes here and they can quickly add a new property in here. So if they own a different home, it can be in a completely different market. And so it's not tied by geography. So if you're working with a seller and they have a completely different property in a completely different state, they can add it to that same report. And so they can get those instant insights on that home as well. And so it's really easy for them to come in here, click the manage homes, add that extra property, that sort of thing. And so then after they do that, then they're going to be able to toggle between the different properties and see the different information on each of the properties. I'll show you something else pretty cool here in a moment. If any of this information isn't correct, they do have the ability to change it. And so if they want to update or change any of that information, sometimes tax data is not fully correct. And so giving them that mechanism to update it, we thought was really, really important. And then, of course, they can adjust their values. So if they look at this and they feel like, well, they're not going to adjust down very often, let me tell you. But if they feel like the value is a little bit off, they can come in here and they can definitely make that adjustment to their value in real time. And so it allows them to update that value right then and there. Again, we're probably not going to see folks adjust down, but just for demonstration purposes, I wanted to show you that. And then it's also going to give them a insight into their home equity. And what I love about this is if they own multiple properties, they can also see the insight into all of their equity across all of the properties. And so pretty cool that they can do that and they can toggle the different properties and see what that equity insight is for that home. Now, another thing that we've given them is just more data on how their property and their market has trended over time. And so they can also look at the different cash offers and how those have trended over time. No doubt that they have changed. And if you look here on the graph, you can see that in December of 2021, the cash offers were higher on the home than they are now. And so these cash offers just trend market historical value as well. And so interesting in order, to serve that insight up to them so that they can really be in the know on not only their historical value, but their cash offer value. And one of the things that kind of drove us to integrate some of these cash offer features is when a seller or when a homeowner, let's just pull it back, they own a home, they're not even thinking about selling. We want them to think of you when it comes to the cash offer value on their home. We don't want them potentially ending up on some other cash offer company site. We want them thinking of you and going to you and seeing you as the solution for these different offers and options as well. I mean, it just makes sense. It's like we're no longer one trick ponies. We can help facilitate a sale in a variety of ways. And often it's a traditional way, but there are times when a seller may want to consider a different exit or a different option. And we want them to think of you. We want them to know that you have these available for them as well. So you probably noticed as I'm going through this, there's the AI container that they can click and engage with. And what this does is it just gives them some pre prompts that they can engage with the AI. And so, for instance, can you predict the future value of my home in the next 5 years? Let's see what the AI says. So, this is a really fun one. Um, and it's just going to tell us, like, hey, here are your sales trends. And it didn't totally, yeah, it did. Here's a prediction for your value. Your current AVM is 900,000. The high estimate is 1.1 in 5 years. The low estimate is 891. Okay, so here's something else that's cool. As you engage with the AI, it is going to prompt them to reach out to you. And the more you engage with it, the faster it will do that. But let me just prompt it and say, do you know a good agent in my area? And so this report is a demo site. It's one of our agents at Zoodealio. And sure enough, it says like a great agent in your neighborhood is Jake Fritz. And of course, Jake Fritz is who this home report is from, right? So just insert your name, and then it just loads up all of your contact information. Just like that. Again, having you be the source of that information. We're working on other cool ways to enhance this functionality with allowing you to incorporate some of your personal information so that the AI can take your personal information and serve that up. So all sorts of fun and engaging ways that we'll be using this and enhancing this in the future going forward. So what you're going to see now is like the beta. It is like the low rung of what is possible and how this is building and scaling. And one thing I would ask is for your feedback. So if you're using the home report and you're engaging with it or you're asking the AI, I would love your feedback. If you get an answer that seems weird or could be better, or you have ideas or suggestions, please let us know. We want that feedback. And that's one of the really beautiful things about this is we can train it to incorporate different things. So right now the AI is trained on the specific home, on the cash offers for that specific home. I'll show you more on that in just a moment. So we're going through, we're seeing that value. And then one of the things I love is now it's bringing in the different cash offer options for them. So if they're interested in a cash offer, they can look at that information and kind of see how that works, understand the kind of nuances of it, that sort of thing. Even has like frequently asked questions as well. And so again, the AI is here and can help it decipher. So, hey, what's the most cash offer, or what's the most popular cash offer option in my market? So let's ask it that, see what it says. Okay, so it gave here are the most popular ones in your market, and it gave a high level overview of the fee structure for each offer as well. So we could ask it, let's see, tell me more about the Cash Plus, and let's see what it says there. Again, if you notice here, it's telling you to reach out to the agent. If you have questions, contact your agent. Here is kind of more information about the Cash Plus. It kind of shares that it's a unique real estate transaction arrangement, provides a seller with certainty and convenience of cash, kind of goes through the structure, that sort of thing. But again, did you catch this? Look at that. I'm not sure if you can see the highlighting. For more personalized advice, contact your agent, Jake Fritz. There's his phone number. There's his email. I mean, how cool is this? It's like turning your database into a 24/7 lead generating machine. It is a listing machine for you because guess what? When people are engaging with the AI, very soon here, we will be reporting back to you exactly what they're asking the AI. So Jake is going to get a notification, and that notification is going to have all of the different questions that were asked of the AI, along with the answers that the AI gave them. So then now Jake can call, he can pick up the phone, have a very meaningful conversation. Hey, Kayla, I see you opened your home report. I see that you were engaging on the Cash Plus offer. I'm curious, have you had any thoughts of selling? And are you interested in potentially pursuing a cash offer option? I mean, it just makes the conversation so much easier, so much more direct and to the point. Oh, no, I was just curious. Maybe we might be thinking about selling in a few months, but, more than anything, I was just curious. Great. That's awesome. I'm so glad you're curious. Well, hey, have you done any repairs or enhancements to your home? I'd love to, maybe quick connect with you on that. So you can use that as a mechanism to have more meaningful conversations. All right. So I want to just I love the market overview section because I'm like in different markets. And so I love to be able to come here and, add a different market and be able to see how the values track in different markets compared to, other markets. So definitely really cool, insightful things there. You can ask the AI things about the different markets, that sort of thing. I'm going to show you next the rental container because, Zillow is highlighting that, hey, a lot of folks are contemplating renting their home when they're selling it. They don't ultimately, by and large, go on and do that. But it's definitely one of the blockers and something that they're thinking about. And so wouldn't it be cool if everybody in your database had a great value on their home, had all of the cash offers on their home, and then also had the ability to check their rental value, their short-term rental value, that sort of thing? Yeah, it is. It's very cool. Okay, so it's going to pull up right away a rental estimate, which is going to show that, hey, if you were to lease your home on short-term rental or long-term rental, sorry, you could get about $4,800. And it looks like the rental range is between 3,900 and 7,000. And so again, like they can adjust that if they want, they can adjust it. But then what I also love is we're showing them what they could get if they were to short-term rental their home. So if they're contemplating turning their home into an Airbnb, they can get a good idea of what that would look like. So in this particular scenario, if they were to short-term rental their home, it looks like they would anticipate about $100,000 of projected revenue at about a 58% occupancy with about a $494 average daily rent. And they can adjust these. And so if they want to come here and they say, okay, actually, let's see. Actually, we only want to do 8 guests because we want a very low footprint for this home. So let's see what that would look like if we were to dial down the guest information. It changes things. And so again, they can engage with the AI. They can ask the AI questions. How would I set up my property as a short-term rental? Valid question. This is probably something that if people are thinking about doing this, it's something that they likely would take to Google or they would, figure out. And so here's some information. So steps to set it up. Research local regulations. Well, that's a good first step, right? You got to make sure you can actually do it in your market. Prepare your home, ensure it's clean, well maintained, equipped with the necessary amenities for guests. List it, use Airbnb, VRBO, set competitive pricing, market it, manage bookings, etc. So again, it's telling them if you have more questions, contact Jake, and he can help you with that as well. So love that container. We also have a rent versus sell container where the homeowner can go in and do an analysis of what it would look like if they were to, rent versus sell. And in 3 years, what would that look like to sell? So a lot of great stuff in this report. A couple things I want to also just point our attention to is that it's very easy to get started with this. You can activate your home report by clicking the blast tab in your agent dashboard. And from there, you can choose the level of contacts that you want to commit to. So one of the things that Elliot did on last week's coaching call, if you're curious about building a list and bringing more people into that list, go check out his coaching call last week. He's going to share the details on how you can do that. no doubt that a great starting point is that 500 contacts. If you don't already have 500 contacts, we're going to help show you how to get them. Many of you may, so maybe you're pick and choosing who to put on it. Just great. You could always upgrade to the next tier. The pricing is $99 for 500 contacts, and then it's $50 for every 500 contacts after that. Very easily, you can go into your agent dashboard. You can activate that home report. Once you activate that home report, you can then upload your CSV list. If you're like, I don't want to upload it, send it to us. We'll upload it for you. You can always send it to support@zoodealio.com. We'll happily upload your list for you if you would like us to. But I want to show you what it looks like when you upload a list. What is the email that that homeowner is going to get? And oh, keep in mind, if you have leads or contacts that don't have addresses, that's okay. So you can upload a contact list. It doesn't need to have an address. If it doesn't have an address, the system is going to prompt them to enter their address in order to see their home details. And so, in many ways, this is helping you with your data integrity. It's helping you secure data on folks that you didn't have before, which will absolutely help you close more business. So keep that in mind as well, that you only need a valid email and a name. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need their address. You don't need their phone number. And what will happen is they will be prompted to enter that in order to see their report. And of course, as soon as they do, it's captured and now it's yours and now you have it. All right, so here is the first email that they will get in the sequence. So you're going to upload that CSV file of your contacts. As I mentioned, you only need the email address. The system will verify that it's a valid email address. And so if you upload contacts and those emails are no longer in use or no longer valid, it will not send to bunk email addresses. So keep that in mind. So this is the first email that they're going to get. And it just prompts them to get their home report when they click it. If the address was already a part of that contact, they will just be dumped right into the report, just like this. Okay. If they didn't have an address, then a screen will pop up that is just going to prompt them to enter their address. As soon as they enter it, then they will be in this. Okay, so pretty simple from that front. And then what's going to happen is twice a month, they're going to get a drip email with their updated home report. So values, things constantly changing. And so it is going to email them twice a month with these two emails. The first email is just, it's very simple. Your home value just updated, view the report. They click view the report and then they'll be in their home report. And second email is discover your home's new value. Check it out. They click the button again. They are in their home report. So pretty simple. It's pretty exciting. I think that, when I saw the data on how more sellers are just choosing the first agent that they contact, for me, that is just so exciting because I know that we can deliver massive value and you can do that. You can stay top of mind, tip of tongue with really cool, engaging tools, giving people what they want. So as I mentioned, we are updating the entire agent dashboard as well as the client's details page, and the AI reporting will show up in that update. So we're about a week out from that. So hang tight. We are capturing it. We definitely will be giving that back to you. You can't quite see it just yet, but within about a week, you will be ready to rock on that. Thanks everybody for being here today. I appreciate you. Just keep going, keep making those contacts. We appreciate you. And if there's anything we can do to serve and support your business, reach out. We are here to help. Have a fantastic week.